Welcome to NarrativeNook where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening. It seemed heartless to cast her out due to her severe injury. We'll have her move into the guest house next door for these days, to reflect on her actions. Louisa nodded in agreement. It's a fair punishment. In a few days, both our families will be gathering here. They've grown quite fond of Serena over the years. If they knew about her behavior, they'd be so disappointed. We'll have to find the right moment to break it to them, and not like last time when Mom got so worked up she nearly fell ill again. Kenneth had hoped for a joyful season, never anticipating it would come to this. He nodded in resignation. We'll do as you say. Serena probably thinks we're oblivious to her deeds, and with Bella being so non-confrontational, she's never been called out on it. That's probably emboldened her. Let's have her reflect for now, but if she doesn't turn over a new leaf, she'll have no place in the Collins family. They could not allow their adopted daughter to continue causing turmoil in front of their biological child. Louisa continued, when Bella comes home, we should have a talk with her. She's been through a lot this past year, and we haven't been as attentive as we should have been. The thought of their daughter suffering right under their roof dampened Louisa's appetite for breakfast. Don't stress too much, your health is important. While Kenneth said this, he served Louisa some eggs, but he himself had lost his appetite. After 18 years, the bond with Serena was not easily severed. They had put their energy into doting on her for 18 years, and yet the latter kept bullying their own daughter in the dark, which would be an unadulterated shock, disappointment and heartbreak. Remembering Serena's tearful plea the night before, Kenneth felt played. That girl, crying so innocently last night, anyone would think the whole world had wronged her. Kenneth was taken aback by her convincing act. If it weren't for Bella's words today, I'd still feel guilty, like we'd wronged her, but she's far from innocent. She's played on the trust and affection we've given her over the years, always turning on the tears in front of us. Yes, she used to be so sweet, so sensible. It's hard to imagine her doing any of this. She cried, and we believed her every time. Louisa's smile was tinged with sadness. She could never imagine the kid they once pampered the most would take advantage of their kindness, lie to them and make fool of them. They weren't naive or lacking in insight. They had simply trusted the child they had raised unconditionally. Who would suspect their own child of deceit without reason? In their presence, Serena had always seemed perfect, too perfect for them to suspect anything. And whenever a shred of doubt surfaced, Serena's tears and feigned innocence would soften their hearts, and they'd push aside their suspicions. Let's have breakfast first, then we'll deal with this, Kenneth said, offering Louisa a bite of her sandwich, encouraging her to eat something. The disappointment was real, but they had to focus on Bella's situation. In a way, we're also to blame. If we had announced Bella's identity and her engagement to Romeo sooner, perhaps Serena wouldn't have been so scheming. At least she wouldn't have lied about the engagement. Kenneth's heart sank as he pondered their situation. At first, we were thinking about the old folks' health and, to be honest, we wanted a bit more time with Bella. We didn't want a swarm of nosy relatives barging in and disrupting her life. But Clark did say that announcing it at the end of the year would be best. He mentioned Bella still had some loose ends to tie up out there, the specifics of which are beyond me. But deep down, Louisa didn't want the revelation of their daughter's identity to become a burden on Bella, which was why she took Clark's advice to heart and decided to schedule the announcement for the end of this year. Only about 10 more days left now. Then we'll invite the entire Macmillan family to witness the moment, Kenneth planned with her. Serena was in the bathroom, wrestling with diarrhea. To gain Arabella's understanding, she had downed half a bottle of hot sauce, leaving her gut and rear end ablaze with fiery pain. When she finally got out of the bathroom, she saw the servants packing up her clothes and bedding. She couldn't help but ask, "What's all this about?" "Mrs. Collins has ordered that, as punishment for your misdeeds, you are to reflect on your actions in the guest house next door." "What did you say?" Serena suspected she had misheard. Yet there they were, one servant folding her bedding, another packing her clothes, and a third collecting her toothbrush and other personal items. "What did I do wrong? Are you sure this came from Mom? She told you this herself?" Serena grilled the servant. "Yes, Mrs. Collins said it herself." Serena was stunned. It had to be Arabella. Arabella must have slandered her while she was away. With that thought, she dashed downstairs and accosted the butler. "Where are Mom and Dad?" Mr. and Mrs. Collins had to step out for a bit. "If you hurry, you might catch them at the front gate." Eric heard of her exile to the guest house. He had tried to intercede on her behalf, but they was unyielding. It was clear that this time their decision was final. Serena bolted out the door, and when she saw her parents' car gliding past the fountain, she lunged towards it. "Dad, Mom." Serena banged on the window, tears welling up in her eyes. "I need to talk to you, wait." Injured yet persistently chasing after the car, she kept knocking. "Dad, Mom, just give me a few minutes." "Stop the car," Louisa ordered coldly. The driver immediately hit the brakes. Moments before, he had been caught in a dilemma, not daring to stop but also not wanting to speed up, inching forward at a mere 10 miles per hour. He feared if Serena accidentally hit the car and got hurt, he would be in deep trouble. Thankfully, Mrs. Collins called for a halt. The window rolled down, revealing Louisa's indifferent profile. "Mom, are you really sending me to live in the guest house? Did my sis say something to you? You won't even give me a chance to explain before sending me away." Serena's tears fell, her voice laden with hurt and sorrow. After all, they were living in the main house. The guest house next door was meant for visitors. Moving next door was like a punishment for her, and she understood that all too well. Once the doted-upon princess of the household, now she had fallen to the status of a mere guest. The drastic change wasn't just about her own standing, it symbolized a demotion in her parents' hearts, from daughter to outsider in a heartbeat. Louisa scoffed. "You still don't get it, do you? Still thinking Bella's been smearing your name behind your back? Let me tell you, she hasn't said a word. We just put 2 and 2 together. For the past 6 months, you've been playing us for fools, honey-tongue to our faces while stabbing us in the back. We're utterly disappointed in you." "Mom?" Serena couldn't believe they knew. If Arabella hadn't spilled the beans, then how did they figure it out? Had they been suspicious of her all along, their trust eroding over time? "After Bella returned to our home, your dad and I sat you down a few times, hoping you'd understand. We felt guilty about Bella, wanting to make it up to her. But we never shortchanged you. Your life remained unchanged. All these years, emotionally and financially, you've gained so much from being part of the Collins family, and we've never treated you unfairly." Louisa's icy gaze fell on her. "But what did you do? You abused our trust, misled us, bullied Bella. You need to go next door and reflect on your actions." "Mom, let me explain," Serena tried, but Louisa clearly wasn't interested in listening. "I had hoped you two could be good siblings, or at least live under the same roof with mutual respect. You didn't have parents or people to rely on, and we were willing to take you in, treat you as our own flesh and blood. We had discussed, and we planned for your future, your wedding gift. It would be only more. But you're still not satisfied. What has Bella done wrong? She's simply returned to the home she should have never left. She's 18 years late, and during those years, you've been living lavish in her stead, yet you can't bear to share. Your dad and I have reflected. Perhaps it was Martha who led you astray. Talking more now is pointless. Go next door and think things through. And if we learn that you haven't changed, that you dare disrespect Bella again, then Collins will no longer be your surname." "Mom?" Serena was in disbelief at what she was hearing. "Drive." Louisa rolled up the window. "Mom? Mom." Serena, struck by the gravity of the moment, instinctively chased after the car. "Mom, don't go. Let me explain. Don't send me to the next house. I'll apologize to my sister. Please, just give me another chance, Mom." Already injured, she chased until her ankle twisted, and she fell to the ground in utter disarray. Watching the custom Rolls-Royce drive away, Serena cried out, "Mom." But the car didn't stop. Instead, it turned a corner and vanished from her sight. How could things have come to this? Why? She had played her tricks before, badmouthed Arabella in social circles, but those whispers never reached her parents' ears. Whenever they seemed suspicious, her tears would cover it all up. Why was it so serious this time? They were actually resolute about moving her to the next house. What would the household staff think? Next door might sound close, but the distance to the main building was quite a stretch, a good 5-minute walk away. Her parents were actually going to banish her there, alone. "Miss Serena, please," the leading servant gestured with a beckoning hand. Tears streaked down Serena's cheeks as she forced a bitter smile. Once upon a time, these very servants would have rushed to her aid had she stumbled. Now they stood before her, impeccably lined up, clutching her belongings, not a hint of intention to help her up. How quickly the tables turn. In truth, the servants were too scared to approach, fearful of losing their jobs in the face of Mrs. Collins's wrath. But to Serena, it was clear they were fair-weather friends, keeping their distance now that she had fallen out of favor, no longer the attentive helpers they once were. With great effort, Serena pushed herself off the ground. A light drizzle fell, and the chill wind cut through her, as cold as the attitudes around her. Bruised from a beating the previous night and further injured from her fall, she staggered to her feet, her clothes stained and disheveled, a picture of utter disarray. What's happened to Ms. Serena Collins? Where are they taking her? Didn't you hear? Miss Serena Collins was caught bullying Ms. Arabella Collins, and Mrs. Collins found out. She's been sent to the guest house to reflect on her actions. What? Miss Serena Collins always seemed so sweet. How could she bully Ms. Arabella Collins? Is there some misunderstanding? You're new here, you wouldn't know. Ms. Arabella Collins is the real gem. Miss Serena Collins was the apple of Mr. and Mrs. Collins's eye since childhood. For her to be sent away to the guest house, it must mean she really crossed the line this time and angered them. Ms. Arabella Collins is their red line, and Serena crossed it. Limping along, Serena absorbed their discussions. Miss Serena Collins's been sent to the guest house, and if she doesn't improve her behavior, she'll probably be thrown out next, right? Really? Is that true? Could it be that the Collins family will have no place for Miss Serena Collins anymore, only Miss Arabella Collins? Raised with a silver spoon, can Miss Serena Collins even survive without the Collins family support? Serena couldn't believe they were already thinking so far ahead. Didn't anyone wish her well? It was just too much. That evening, when Kenneth and Louisa returned, Edith greeted them at the door. "Mr. and Mrs. Collins, Miss Arabella Collins won't be joining us for dinner tonight, she had other engagements. It will just be the two of you dining." Louisa's eyes dimmed slightly. She had hoped to have a heart-to-heart with her precious daughter, but it seemed that would have to wait for another day. Kenneth sat down, his gaze lingering on the seats where Arabella and Serena had once sat, a heaviness settling in his chest. Edith explained as she served the food, "This one is wrapped in dough and filled with shrimp. Then there's this one." Louisa watched her speak with such animation that she couldn't help but ask, "You seem in a good mood?" Caught off guard by Mrs. Collins' observation, Edith quickly composed herself and replied respectfully, "Well, these dishes are delicately made, so I can't help but feel a bit more spirited when I talk about them." But after all these years in this home, Louisa knew Edith like the back of her hand. Leaning back in her chair, Louisa said soothingly, "Since we're feeling a bit down, why don't you share what's got you so cheerful? Maybe it'll rub off on us." Feeling guilty, Edith confessed, "The very thing that's made me happy is the same thing that saddened you, Mr. and Mrs. Collins." Kenneth and Louisa were surprised. What did she mean? Though I know it's not my place to say, the decision to have Miss Serena Collins reflect on her behavior in the guest house was absolutely the right one. From today on, Miss Arabella Collins won't have to endure Miss Serena Collins's attitude any longer. Louisa perked up. "So, you know something about this?" "Edith, tell us what you know." Kenneth said, "Don't hold back. Speak freely." It looked like they truly desired to know. After pondering for a moment, Edith began, "Well, don't blame me for speaking out of turn. It all started with Martha. From the day Miss Arabella Collins returned, she took it upon herself to make life difficult for her. To your faces, she's all sweet talk, but the moment you're gone, she wouldn't even give Miss Arabella Collins the time of day, always throwing shade. Anyone would think she was the lady of the house." Hearing this, Kenneth and Louisa were both shocked and outraged. How dare a mere servant treat their long-lost daughter with such contempt? This was outrageous. Who gave her such audacity? If the two ladies happened to dine together, and if you weren't present, Martha would only attend to Miss Serena Collins, deliberately ignoring Ms. Arabella Collins. She'd also make snide remarks, which left me thinking that we needed to treat Ms. Arabella Collins better, given all she'd been through. But Martha would give a hard time to anyone who showed kindness to Ms. Arabella Collins. How dare she? Louisa was livid, shocked by Martha's behind-the-scenes manipulation. Because I was kind to Ms. Arabella Collins, Martha went out of her way to trip me up. She'd push me when I was going down the stairs, hoping I'd fall. If I was cleaning, she'd intentionally dirty the place again. She even dumped trash on my bed, used my toothbrush to clean the toilet, and spat in my shower gel. What kind of person does that? Is she even human? Kenneth was hearing about such behavior for the first time and began to regret entrusting Serena to someone like Martha. Serena's current behavior was likely influenced by her. Her treatment of me is one thing, but what really angers me is her disrespect toward Ms. Arabella Collins. From start to finish, she didn't show an ounce of respect. A servant with more airs than the homeowner, Louisa was fuming. How had she not noticed this before? I think it's because of her that Ms. Serena Collins has gone astray. There was one time when I had a cold for many days, and it was Ms. Arabella Collins who noticed something was wrong with me and brought me some medicine. I was so grateful that on my day off, I bought a bouquet of flowers to arrange for Ms. Arabella Collins as a thank you. But Serena intercepted me. She was in a foul mood that day because she wanted Clark to go shopping with her, but Ms. Arabella Collins had called him away. Serena thought I had tipped off Ms. Arabella Collins, leading her to steal Clark away. Serena lashed out at me, calling me Ms. Arabella Collins's lapdog, and the things she said were truly vile. Kenneth and Louisa were both taken aback. They had never imagined that Serena could be so cross and rude to the help. At that time, Clark had just returned home, and to everyone's surprise, Serena had already started a covert rivalry with Bella. Not only did Serena hurl insults, but she also knocked over the flowers I had given to Ms. Arabella Collins, shattering the vase. Even now, Edith felt a pang of sadness when recounting the incident because the surprise had been carefully prepared for Arabella. It's all because of that Martha, always leading Ms. Serena Collins astray, not just brainwashing her, but also the others. She claimed that for the past 18 years, it was Miss Serena Collins who was pampered by you, and it was she who was adored to the bone by all 5 of your sons. With such deep affection, Miss Serena Collins could make anyone she wanted to leave, just like that, and Martha made it clear that we should all be siding with Miss Serena Collins. That's outrageous. Absolutely unconscionable. Louisa exclaimed, infuriated by the thought of Martha being such a troublemaker, stirring the pot wherever she went. We let her off too easily back then. Had I known, I would have never let her go so lightly. She would have made sure Martha paid dearly for her actions. Kenneth patted her back, trying to soothe her. Don't let it get to you, let Edith continue. If it hadn't been for Edith spilling the beans, they would have remained oblivious to the true faces of Martha and Serena. I even tried to warn Serena not to be led astray by Martha, but I guess she didn't take my words to heart. Ms. Arabella Collins is truly kind-hearted. She noticed I was looking pale and gave me some tonics to boost my energy. She even told me to come directly to her if I needed anything, promising to help me out. Everyone was praising Ms. Arabella Collins because she genuinely helped us a lot, teaching us how to dress, how to get rid of acne, and how to improve our skin. But when Martha and Serena overheard this, Martha accused Ms. Arabella Collins of winning our support, wondering why we didn't regard Ms. Serena Collins with the same esteem. That's utterly malicious. Kenneth slammed his fist on the table, regretting ever leaving Martha by Serena's side. With such a twisted mind, how could she possibly raise a child properly? Exactly, we all tried to explain that it was us who sought advice from Ms. Arabella Collins, that she had nothing to do with it, that she wasn't buying us off. But Martha kept whispering to Ms. Serena Collins that because she didn't give us presents, we were always singing Ms. Arabella Collins' praises behind her back, implying that Miss Serena Collins was stingy. Kenneth and Louisa were almost beside themselves with rage, unable to believe that the outwardly sweet and approachable Martha could be such a gossip behind their backs. Martha even went as far as to say that what Miss Arabella Collins gave us was worthless junk, not even fit for display, and that Miss Serena Collins would be embarrassed to give us such things, Edith's voice was tinged with anger as she spoke. For them, it was the thought behind Ms. Arabella Collins' gifts that mattered, not someone else's unsolicited opinion. That Martha was detestable. She did nothing but disparage others. For 18 years, Martha had been receiving gifts from Serena, yet Edith and the other servants were chastised just for accepting some medicine, coffee beans and teas from Ms. Arabella Collins. Thinking about it now still made her blood boil. But of course, Miss Serena Collins was in cahoots with Martha. Every time Martha picked a fight with me, Miss Serena's knee-jerk reaction was to insist that I apologize, claiming I was disrespecting her beloved nanny. If I refused, she'd threaten to kick me out of the house. Kenneth and Louisa were dumbfounded once again. They couldn't believe that the Serena they knew, obedient, sensible, kind, and gentle, could actually be such a person behind closed doors. She sounded like some spoiled heiress with petty grudges, utterly unreasonable, as if both her IQ and EQ had short-circuited. And then there was this one time when Martha had Debbie and Daisy corner me, saying they needed to teach me a lesson on behalf of Serena. Luckily, Miss Arabella Collins arrived just in time, and I was spared. As Edith recounted this, she was once again moved by Miss Arabella's brave intervention. Otherwise, she had no idea how badly she could have been hurt. No wonder Bella called me that time, saying she wanted to fire Debbie and Daisy. Now I understand the full story. Louisa finally pieced everything together. At the time, she only knew that Bella wanted to fire them for being disrespectful and bullying the staff, and she had immediately agreed to Bella's decision. It's because of your support that Martha eventually apologized to me. Back then, Miss Arabella Collins docked a month's pay from her. But who would have thought, she still didn't change her ways. Louisa expressed regret. A month was too lenient. If I had known the extent of her outrageous actions, I wouldn't have let her off so easily. Has she ever done anything less than outrageous? You have no idea. She acted all high and mighty here, as if she owned the place, just because she was Miss Serena Collins's nanny. Debbie and Daisy were her cronies. They felt emboldened by her backing, even going as far as to cut up Gloria's clothes, and it wasn't the first time they did something like that. Louisa was appalled that such bullying could occur within the Collins family. Kenneth was equally shocked, having never heard of such incidents happening right under his nose. And they didn't stop there. They threw Doris' skincare products into the trash. They blatantly admitted it to Doris, asking her what she was going to do about it. That's why Miss Arabella Collins wanted to fire them, and do you know why she called you before doing so? Edith inquired. Why? Because they were so full of themselves, claiming that only Mr. and Mrs. Collins had the authority to fire them, not Miss Arabella Collins. Louisa was livid with rage, never expecting that the staff would become so insolent. This won't do. Louisa couldn't stand it any longer. She took out her smartphone and gave the orders. Those who used to work here, Sarah, Liz, and Martha, have someone teach them a lesson. From now on, they're blacklisted in the industry. No one is allowed to hire them, or else they'll be crossing the Collins family. Seeing Louisa angrily ending the call, Edith quickly brought over a bowl of soup. Mrs. Collins, please calm down. It all happened so long ago, and I wouldn't have dared to speak up if you hadn't asked. This is also why I was so relieved when Serena was sent to the next building for reflection. Ms. Arabella Collins really endured a lot in the past 6 months. Even though Serena and Martha never got the better of Arabella, just the sight of their arrogant demeanor made Edith feel disgusted. You really should have clued us in earlier, Louisa chided herself for not catching on sooner, the guilt and self-reproach evident in her voice. Mrs. Collins, I'm just the help. It's not my place to gossip about family affairs. Besides, with Martha running the show and Miss Serena Collins in her corner, they had the stage. Even if I had a chance to explain, I couldn't have cleared things up. Edith stood by, silently serving them food as she spoke, and Miss Serena Collins's always played the angel in your eyes, smart, kind-hearted, gentle. If I'd suggested she was bullying Miss Arabella Collins, you'd likely have thought I was spouting nonsense before I even finished my sentence. As Edith went on, she added, especially when Miss Serena Collins cries, that's when I'm really done for. I could have lost my job. Louisa gave her a reproachful look. After all these years of dedicated service in our home, how could we just send you away? We're not heartless like Martha. That time Hans exposed Martha's deceit, revealing how she had spilled oil intending to cause Bella to slip. Martha was promptly fired by Hans for that. When the news reached Kenneth and Louisa, they were furious, giving Martha a good tongue-lashing. At the time, Serena had tried to intercede on Martha's behalf, but Louisa had even said that if she thought so highly of Martha, she might as well leave with her. It's just shocking. Beyond that oil incident, there were so many other things. Each and every one of them is infuriating. How can she be so malicious? She doesn't act like a servant at all, she thinks she's royalty. Louisa slammed her hand on the table, too angry to eat. We thought she was treating Serena with such care because she considered her family. She had us all misty-eyed. Turns out she was only kind to Serena. To everyone else, she was downright cruel. Kenneth was no less heated. Meanwhile, Serena had moved to the guest house, where she was the sole occupant. Aside from the light spilling from her bedroom, the entire building was shrouded in darkness. She found the main switch and turned on all the lights in the building, even the garden lights, but the vast quiet space still felt eerily empty and frightening. Finally, a servant carrying a food basket entered the courtyard, and Serena hurried downstairs. "Betty, why is it just you? Where are the others?" There had been 3 servants to attend to her needs in the afternoon, but now only Betty was here to bring dinner? Mrs. Collins said from now on, "I'll be the one to bring your meals. Other than that, no one else will come," Betty explained as she set the food basket on the table and started to lay out the dishes. Serena was famished, and upon seeing the food, she was stupefied. "What is this?" A tangy potato salad, green bean stir-fry, and seaweed egg soup, this was it? This was her meal? Mrs. Collins said that since you needs time to reflect, the meals should be plain and simple. Serena couldn't swallow her pride. Even her meals were being cut back? How was she supposed to stomach this? Actually, these dishes are quite tasty. They're the same as what we had for lunch. We had green bean stir-fry and tangy potato salad. The chef is really skilled, honestly. You'll know once you try. You've already had this for lunch? Serena was shocked and then realized, "So you're giving me the leftovers from your lunch?" "No kidding, Ms. Serena Collins. These ingredients are the freshest, delivered today. They're certainly not leftovers from the servant's lunch. The chef prepared these dishes just for you." Betty set the tableware in front of Serena. Serena stared at the array of dishes before her, so bland they defied description. The pang of hunger ultimately drove her to eat, though with great reluctance. "For breakfast tomorrow, I want cereal with milk, foie gras on toast, and eggs Benedict with caviar." Serena's demands trailed off as Betty interjected with an apologetic tone. "There'll be no more special orders from now on." "What did you say?" "In other words, the chef isn't going to whip up whatever you fancy anymore." Serena hadn't expected her parents' punishment to be so severe. Was she now to be denied even the simplest of culinary pleasures? Was she to be relegated to eating plain fare, just like the servants? Were her parents treating her like one of the help? Wasn't this punishment a bit too harsh? Even if she had spoken ill of Arabella at Mr. Albright's birthday party, it wasn't enough to warrant such a severe penalty, was it? And on top of that, she was still nursing her injuries. "Once you're done eating, I should get going." Betty glanced at the time and began to clear the table. "Mrs. Collins only gave me an hour to deliver your meal." "You're leaving too? Am I going to be alone in this house tonight?" Serena felt a twinge of fear. The house was too vast, and come nightfall, it felt rather eerie. "For the time being, yes. You'll be on your own here, except during mealtimes," Betty confirmed. "Then who will clean for me? Who will water my plants? Who will do my laundry and hang it up to dry?" "I'm not sure." Her responsibility was only to deliver meals. "Betty," Serena suddenly grasped her hand, "ever since Martha left, you've been the kindest to me in this house. Tell me the truth, how are my parents feeling? Do I have any chance of returning within the next couple of days?" "Mr. and Mrs. Collins are disappointed and heartbroken by your actions. They hardly touched their dinner, and Edith has been trying to console them." Serena quickly seized upon a key name, pressing further. "Edith? Is she attending to my parents this evening? Yes. Betty was unaware of the underlying tensions and spoke honestly. Mr. and Mrs. Collins seemed all right before dinner, but afterwards, they looked quite upset, as if they were very angry. It must be Edith. With this thought, Serena clenched her fists in anger. Edith must have taken advantage of her absence, filling her parents' ears with slander about her. They were close to forgiving her, but after hearing Edith's words, they had become too upset to eat. Perhaps Edith had even tarnished Martha's reputation. With these thoughts, Serena seethed with rage. As soon as she left this confinement, she vowed to make Edith pay. Betty, could you possibly ask the chef to prepare a few tastier dishes for me tomorrow? I really can't stomach such bland food. Serena cajoled, shaking Betty's hand. I can transfer some money to you and the chef. Just name your price. Serena, I can't do that. Betty hurriedly explained. After the chef finishes cooking, Edith has to approve it, making sure the ingredients are simple and unadorned, before I can bring it to you. Mrs. Collins has said that from now on, whatever the chef prepares, that's what you'll eat. No more lavish meals. Serena fumed. Her mother had effectively cut off all her escape routes. Can you sneak me those skincare products later, Betty? Serena tried to negotiate. Those two helpers are as dumb as they come. They didn't even remember to bring me toner this afternoon. I need my skincare routine before bed. Mrs. Collins said, Ms. Arabella Collins doesn't use all those jars and bottles, and you won't be needing them either. Serena's face stiffened. What does it mean? It means that if Ms. Arabella Collins isn't using all those skincare products, you don't need them either. Not even her skincare products were spared. What about changing clothes? There are only 2 outfits upstairs. Don't tell me, Mom only allowed you to bring me 2 sets. Serena asked, not ready to accept this. Yes, Mrs. Collins said you're here to reflect, not to enjoy life. You only need enough clothes for 2 days, the rest are in the main house and we weren't permitted to bring them over. Serena was livid. So, in this guest house, she was supposed to live like a guest, without the luxuries of being a part of the Collins family. Was that it? Was that what her mother intended? This was just too much. Miss Serena Collins, do you need anything else? I only have 10 minutes left. Betty glanced at the clock, growing anxious. If I go over an hour, I lose $10 off my wage for every minute. Serena hadn't imagined her mother would be so ruthless. To discourage the staff from chatting with her, she had even made it a matter of time and money. Don't be too down, Miss Serena Collins. Maybe one day Mrs. Collins will remember your good qualities, or see that you've repented, and she might let you out early. At the mention of this, Serena scoffed coldly. Her mother had hardened her heart to this extent, almost leaving her to fend for herself. Hoping for her mother to fondly recall her good traits seemed like waiting for a blue moon. In about 10 days, both families' elders will visit. Your grandparents, and all your uncles and brothers, someone will surely speak up for you. Then, Mrs. Collins would consider what they said, and it'll only be natural for you to join the family reunion. Since Martha left, Betty had been the only kind soul to Serena. Serena thought there was some logic to it. New Year's Eve was the biggest day for them, all about togetherness. But with 10 days to go, she didn't even know how to get through these coming days. Especially with the plain meals 3 times a day, no one to talk to, and no permission to leave the place. What if Mom only lets me join the dinner on New Year, and then sends me right back here? Serena worried. That could mean being shut away indefinitely. The thing that upset Mrs. Collins the most, the thing she cares about, is that you disrespected Ms. Arabella Collins. If you just correct that, considering the 18 years of affection, she might let you off the hook. She can't possibly keep you here after the new year, especially when school starts again, right? Serena felt there was sense in these words.
For listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.